This is a good principle, the accountability mirror.
Yes, man, the accountability mirror is something that started it all for me. And it was so much easier to be someone else. That's why, acting like I was cool, acting like a wannabe thug, sagging my pants. I was just living a dream world. Let's not be David Goggins. Let's just be this funny looking character that's not dealing with his own problems. So it made my life so much easier to not deal with this fucked up life that I had.
But at the same time, I could see how you do it. Like you were kind of thriving. The comedy aspect of it does help you deal with it to some sense. It almost like was a painkiller. The comedy aspect of it, right?
Oh yeah, you know what's funny? It's it's the honest truth what you say. But the scary thing about it is you accomplish nothing.
Right.
Nothing gets accomplished. So yeah, it helped me kind of get by.
Yeah.
But that's all I was doing was getting by. And I was afraid. I was really afraid to go back in that pile of shit. And by 18, 19 years old, I already had so much crap that I had to go through. I just kept putting it off.
Mm.
And the scary thing about it was I always knew that I had it in me. I always knew I had it in me to learn. I always knew I had it in me to be better. But I knew that it was going to take me so many more hours than the normal person. I knew that I was coming into the game at such a deficit. And, I didn't have these great parents. I didn't have this great foundation. So I had to almost by myself start rebuilding the house.
Mm.
And I knew what kind of work that was going to take for me to do this. So I just kept running away from the work.
What made you decide that it was the Post-it notes? Because at first I could see you talking to yourself in the mirror and it becoming like its own trance.
Right.
But how did you decide to go to the Post-it notes and start to actually make them kind of work detail?
So what was crazy about it is that my mind, the way it works, is if I don't have constant reminders, your path is, your mind is constantly looking for the path of least resistance. So if you're not constantly challenging yourself every day, for a person like me, if I'm not constantly looking at, okay, the task at hand today on my Post-it notes on this mirror is to do this, my mind's going to say, hey, let's not do that today. Let's go over here, go to Johnny's house, play basketball, and just fuck around. So I had to have a constant reminder of, hey, all right, David, we have to do X, Y, and Z today, or we can't do this and that. So I had to earn everything in my life from that point forward.
I remember Johnny, when we talked to Johnny, saying that it was almost like you just disappeared. Like he wanted to play basketball and you'd be at the kitchen table studying because you hadn't knocked it out yet.
You know what's funny about that, man? I didn't pick up a basketball. So this happened my junior year, and then my senior year, I played basketball. I didn't pick up a basketball for about 20 years.
Really?
Yep. And that's something I don't tell anybody. So basketball was my love. But I realized that basketball became my escape. And I no longer could escape from my life. So I started choosing whatever made me uncomfortable. I realized that I had to start gravitating towards that. And it was a long process. It wasn't like I woke up one morning, looked in the accountability mirror and figured out, oh, let me write some Post-it notes down here and start doing this. We all have a voice in our head. We all have a voice in our head that is trying to direct you to a place where you can be better. We also have another voice in our head that's saying, fuck that, let's not do that. So whatever that voice was saying that kind of sucked, that sucky voice that made me very uncomfortable, I started realizing that that's the only voice I can listen to. The other voice was a voice of comfort. And I had to stop listening to that voice because it always took me down the path of least resistance.
So this challenge that we set up is for your readers and listeners to set up their own accountability mirror.
Right.
And you've never really laid out that challenge to your followers before, have you?
No, this is something brand new. I've never even, I talk about the accountability mirror every now and then, but this is definitely brand new.
Where you're breaking out like how-tos about it.
Exactly.
Talk about the tone and what it means to have thicker skin and why that's so important.
You know, we live in a world nowadays, especially now, we live in a soft generation, man. People are very soft, and people hate to admit that they're wrong. They hate to admit that they're wrong. Like, I mean, even for very simple things, it's much easier to blame somebody. People, that whole accountability thing, it sounds so simple. But how many times do you sit in a room when somebody messes up and no one really says, hey, I messed up. Hey, I apologize, I messed up. That's one of the hardest things to do. So that whole thick skin is to be able to take criticism, be able to criticize yourself. Why? We live in this society and we believe that everybody is so great and so perfect, but we haven't really realized that everybody's fucked up. Everybody's fucked up, even the people who are judging you. All that they're doing better than you is they're hiding. They're able to hide better than you are. So they make you feel like you're a piece of shit because they don't want to hold themselves accountable. So the whole thick skin thing is, whatever you are, own it. The only way you're going to lose weight is to say, hey, I'm overweight. I'm fat. You might be obese. The only way you're going to fix being smarter is say, you know what? I'm not the smartest cat in the world. I need to fix these things that I'm lacking in. And that's the only way I got better, was to develop thick skin. You know, back in the day, somebody would have called me dumb. You know, yeah, it hurts your feelings, but are you dumb? Are you dumb? Yeah, it's hurtful. It hurts your feelings. Yeah, no one wants to hear it. But sometimes bullies are just telling you the fucking truth in a very mean way. And that's how you got to look at it. You got to look at, you know what, man? I'm not the smartest cat in the world. But use that strength. Use, like, you know, if you're getting bullied in a way, if they're calling you fat, don't go home and put your head down. Go home and say, you know what, I am fat. But I'm going to lose some fucking weight and go back to school or go back to whatever and say, hey, look at me now. Take a different vantage point in life. Don't look at it as always being hurt. Grow that thick skin. Grow daggone alligator skin to where nothing can hurt you. Not thick skin, grow alligator skin. And that's right there where you start getting the tactical advantage over everything, over yourself. Like I said before, your mind is always at the tactical advantage. It knows your fears. It knows your insecurities. You can't outrun them. So you might as well face them, hold yourself accountable, and then start to fix them.
Yeah, it's like in these days, everyone wants to sit in their feelings and have their feelings validated. Like, this is my emotional process, this is that. But what you're saying is, you know, there's a lot more to what you feel. You can't believe everything you feel.
Right.
And sometimes you have to go deeper and find your way out of the feeling.
Right, and even deeper than that is that a lot of people start to hang around people that, you know, allow them to have no accountability. You know, they have friends that say, oh yeah, it's their fault. They start to tell you everything you want to hear. And that's how you group your friends. You got that run friend that comes in there and says, hey man, no, you're kind of fucked up. You need to change your way. You no longer want to hang with that person.
Yeah.
So, you know, we got to look at, so this is all encompassing about everything you do in life. Pick the people around you that are going to hold you to a higher standard, not a lower standard that makes you feel better.
I like it. I think that's one of the biggest problems in society is that people are afraid to hear what they don't want to hear. And it makes us all worse off.
100%, man. And especially nowadays.
Yeah.
It's a much kinder, gentler world where everybody's winning. And at the end of the day, all you're doing is losing.